we're doing Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Let's just go back to what we tried to rush through at the end last time. Lamed Vav Amud Bet, where it says, Amar le Rav Ashi le Rav Hoshi Abrei de Rav Idi. So it's like 8, maybe 10 lines from the bottom, 8 lines. Amar le Rav Ashi le Rav Hoshi Abrei de Rav Idi, on the bottom of Lamed Vav Amud Bet. So, Hatam Tanan. So we taught in a different place. It says Rabban Shimon Gamliel Omer, Kol sheshahaba Adam Lamed Yom Eno Nefel. So the truth is really, the Gemara over there explains that we're talking about a case where we don't know if this baby is a full-term baby or if this baby is not a full-term baby. Yeah. So he says if the baby, and the question is, if the baby doesn't live 30 days, something happened to the child, some freak accident happened, an animal came and attacked the child or something like that, we don't know if the baby would have lived or not. It fell off fell out of the building, whatever it is, we don't know if the baby would have lived or not. So if it died within 30 days through some incident like that, so this is Kol Shaba Adam Lamed Yom Eno Nefel. If it would have lived 30 days, it's not a nefel, it's not considered a stillborn, it's considered a living child. So halo shaha, but if it didn't live 30 days and something happened, so sveka, it would be a safek. If the baby died some other way, we don't know if it would have lived 30 days or not, it's a safek. So sveka have veitmar, and if it's a safek, then what would be with a pregnant woman who has that child? So she should require chalitza lechumra veitmar met betoch lamed yom v'amda v'nitkadsha. So say a child died within the 30 days, so it should be a safek, but she already ended up doing kiddushin. Yeah, she received kiddushin from somebody. So what's the halacha? Do we say that whoa she requires chalitza and she needs to get chalitza before she can proceed with marrying this other guy, or do we say no? So Ravina Mishmei de Rava Amar Imeshed Yisraeli Choletzet. If she's married to a Yisrael, so let her get chalitza and then go through with the marriage. V'imeshed kohen hi ena choletzet. And if she got kiddushin from a kohen, so she doesn't require chalitza, because if we make her do chalitza, then she's not going to be allowed to be with the kohen, and and that's gonna throw out the whole marriage, and we don't want to do that. So therefore, if she her husband died, she had a baby, and the baby died within 30 days, we don't know if the child was considered a stillborn or not. So generally, misafek, we would require her to have kiddushin. We would require her to have a chalitza. But in this case, since she already got kiddushin to a kohen, we're not going to require her to have chalitza. That's what Ravina taught. Rav Misharshia Mishmei de Rava Amar. Rav Misharshia said no, that's not what Rava taught. Rava taught like this. He said achadzu v'achadzu choletzet, that whether it's a wife of a kohen, meaning whether she got kiddushin to a kohen, whether she got kiddushin to Yisrael, it doesn't matter. She requires chalitza, and even if she got kiddushin from a kohen, she has to have chalitza from one of the brothers of her late husband, and she has to get a get from the kohen. So Amar le Ravina le Rav Misharshia. So Ravina said to Rav Misharshia, he said, Beurta Amar Rav Hachi. He said, yeah, what you're saying, Rav said, that even if it's a kohen, that she requires chalitza. Rava said that at nighttime. Uvtzafra, but in the morning, the next morning, Hadarbe. He said Rava changes. He went back. He said, I thought about it overnight, and I changed my psak. And if it's a kohen, then she can stay with the kohen. She doesn't require chalitza. So Amar le Shiritu. Rav Misharshia said, what? You're being matir this? You're being matir a lady who requires chalitza. She's a safek Yevamot l'shuk. She's safek she requires chalitza or not, and you're allowing her to marry this guy, to stay married to the kohen. Rava de tishru aftarba. You're at that you should also be matir chelev, which is asur, meaning like, kind of like, like poking at him and saying, this is you're gonna be matir many things if you continue this route. So either way, this whole discussion was brought up because we're asking the following question. We see over here, by the case where a woman has a child and we have a safek whether or not this child is considered a living child or a stillborn, and if it's poter her from yibum or not. So therefore, we say she requires chalitza, but in the event that she already married a kohen, there's room to be lenient. So the question is like this: Hacha gabe meuberet chavero mineket chavero hanisua lekohen mai. Over here, in the case that we were talking about earlier, by meuberet chavero mineket chavero, that someone's not allowed to marry a nursing woman. So what if it was a kohen? We said before that if someone married a nursing or a pregnant woman, he has to divorce her. Chachamim, Rabbi Meir said he has to divorce her and that's it. He can't take her back. Chachamim said no, he has to divorce her and he could take her back afterwards. Problem is, if the guy is a kohen and he divorces her, he can't take her back afterwards. So do we have like a special exemption for a kohen to stay married in such a situation or no? So what's the halacha? Miavu Rabbanan takanta lekohen or lo? Did the Rabbanan make some type of special scenario for a kohen, or no? Did they make some type of takana for the kohen or no? So Amar le. So this was Rav Hoshia responding to Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi is the one who brought up this whole question. Rav Hoshia is responding to Rav Ashi. So Amar le. Hachi hashta. He says this is not a good comparison. Bishla mahata kevan dika Rabbanan de pligi alea de Rabban Shimon Gamliel damri afagav de lo shahavlad mal yahave. By the case where a child died within 30 days and we don't know if this is a stillborn or not, so it's true. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says that this child is a safek, and therefore the mother is a safek, and she requires chalitza misafek. But Rabbanan argue on Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, and they hold Vlad Ma'al Yahave. They hold that the child is considered a good child. Once the child is born, it's poter from yibum and chalitza, and you don't have to have any other worries. And they hold in that scenario that the child is poter. So therefore, you can rely on the opinion of Rabbanan. Regabe Eshet Kohen, Kevan Dolo Efshar Avdinan Rabbanan. So if in that scenario, let's just play out the scenario. She was pregnant, she had the baby, she married somebody, and then the baby died within 30 days. And according to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, we're not sure. She requires chalitza l'chumra. So we said that Ravina taught that in the case that she married a kohen, she could be lenient. That's because the opinion of the Rabbanan, they argue with Rabban Shimon Gamliel, and they say that she doesn't require chalitza l'chumra. The child is a good child that's poter her from yibum. So you can rely on the opinion of the Rabbanan in such a case where she's married to a kohen. Aval hacha, but in the case where a kohen marries a pregnant woman or a nursing woman, which he has to divorce, so there's no opinion to do like. Keman na'avid, who are we going to do like? Ik Rabbi Meir, if we do like Rabbi Meir, ha'amar yotzi, Rabbi Meir says yotzi, Rabbi Meir says you have to divorce, and you can't, v'lo yachzir, and you can't take her back forever. V'ik Rabbanan, if we're going to do like Rabbanan, so ha'amri, beget, they also say you have to divorce the get. Boker Tov, Boker Tov.
Your clock is
I heard the birds chirping this morning.
I thought that your clock is wrong.
Okay.
I came to see your beautiful face.
Thank you. I love you.
Okay, Itzmar. So says the next piece of Gemara. So Kitcha b'toch shlosha ubarach. Okay, so let's say somebody is talking about a different scenario. We know that if a woman gets divorced or her husband dies, So she needs to wait three months before she marries to make sure that she's not pregnant. Because if she marries somebody else right away and then she finds out she's pregnant, we need to know who the father is. So there has to be a 3-month separation before she could get married to anybody else. Now let's say some guy, and even though there's 2 stages to getting married, there's kiddushin and then there's actual nisuin. So you're not even allowed to do kiddushin, which means you're not even being intimate with her. You're just engaging her. You can't even get engaged to her. So let's say a guy did the kiddushin and then he left town. So you know that he's not going to be with her.
And he doesn't do bia.
He did kiddushin and he left town. So what do we say in that scenario? So Itmar, Kitsha betoch shlosha. He was mekadesh this lady. Her husband just died or she just got divorced, and someone else is mekadesh her within 3 months. He's mekadesh her next week, the week afterwards. Ubarach, and then he left town. So pligi barav acha verafram. So we have a machloker of acha and rafram. Chadamar mishamtinan le. One says, we put him in cherem until the guy gives a get. We force him to give a get. We track him down. We say, hey, you weren't allowed to do this kiddushin. You got to give a get. V'chadamar irukei mistayeh. The other one says, no, the fact that he left town, that helps him out. Meaning, from the fact that he left town and he ran away, that shows that he's not planning on completing the marriage and being intimate with her until later. So there's no issue here. We're going to know who the father is in the event that she gets married. So Hava Uvda, this case actually happened where some guy did kiddushin and then he left town. V'amalu Rafram irukei mistay. And Rafram Paskin, he said, no, the fact that he ran away, that shows that he's not going to be with her, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make him give a get. Okay. So Safek ben Tisha. So the last case that we said in the Mishnah was this lady. Her husband died, and she did yibum, and now she did yibum before waiting 3 months. She made a mistake. She was supposed to wait 3 months. She didn't wait 3 months. Okay. She did yibum. Then she had a baby 7 months into her marriage. So we don't know. Is this a preemie baby from the second husband, or is this a baby from the first husband? Who's the father? That's the question.
No, if it's
Which is
9 months,
safek.
it's the first safek.
No, yeah. So it's 9 months
If it's
from
9
when her
months,
husband
not
died.
7 months.
No, 9 months from when her husband died. It could be a 9-month baby from her first husband, or 7 months. The Gemara is saying is a baby could be born and could make it at 7 months. So it's possible that it's from her second husband, and it's a 7-month baby, or it's possible that it's from her first husband and it's a full-term baby. We don't know. We don't know who the father is.
7 months after second marriage? We got a problem with that.
No, but the question is, who's the father?
The father is after the second husband.
How do you know? Maybe it's
Because
the first
7
husband.
months.
Yeah, but maybe...
It's not 9. If it's 9 months...
Let's get the case straight. So, this lady was married to Reuven.
I understand. That's not the case.
Reuven died, and then a month later, she married the brother Shimon. 2 months later, she married the brother Shimon. So 7 months after she marries Shimon, she has a baby. Is the father of this baby Reuven, and it was born 9 months after the last time they were together, or is the father of this baby Shimon, and it was born 7 months after? That's the question.
I don't know what's happening.
Extra surprises today, huh? No, it's easy. It's an easy.
Yeah, I understand it now. Yeah,
Easy man.
I'm not confused.
Question is, who's the father?
Yeah.
Right. So, so we said it's a safek, and they have to separate because maybe this child is really from the first husband, and there's no need for yibum over here. Either way, we see the time. We're gonna have to go a little bit faster. Okay, so Amar le Rava le Rav Nachman. Lema halacha rov nashim letisha yaldan. So Rava said to Rav Nachman, Rava said, I have a simple question here. Why don't we say rov? We always say rov. You go after the majority. Majority of babies are born at 9 months. They're born full term. So why don't we say, okay, we go after rov. That means that this baby is a 9-month baby, and therefore it's from the first husband, and the second husband is for sure not the father. Why don't we say that? So Amarle, so Rav Nachman told him, he said, Neshei didan l'shiva yaldan. He said, no, our ladies in our town, they give birth at 7 months also. So he said, okay, I said, okay, I don't care about what your ladies in your town do. They're the rov of the world. Like, who cares what they do? So Rav Nachman explained to him. He said, no. Amar le hachika amina. He said, no, this is what I mean to say. Rov nashim yaldan letisha umiyud leshiva. He said, majority, they give birth at 9 months. You're right. But there is a minority that gives birth at 7 months. V'chol hayoledet letisha ubara nikar lishlish yamea. And we have a rule that anyone who, any lady who gives birth at 9 months, 3 months into her labor, into her pregnancy, it's already recognizable that she's pregnant. There's a rule that a lady shows after 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this lady
Not everybody.
obviously wasn't showing after 3 months because they would know who the father is if she was showing after 3 months. Vizu hoyev velo hukaru bara lishlish yamea. Since in her scenario, she didn't, her baby wasn't showing after 3 months, so itra le ruba, so that threw a wrench in her robe, that messed up her rov. Meaning, generally we would say rov is that it's a 9-month baby, but the fact that she wasn't showing, that messes up her rov. That shows that maybe she's not part of the rov, and therefore we have to assume that it's a 7-month baby. So the Gemara says, well, 1 second. Ikol hayoledet. This is again Rava saying to Rav Nachman. He's saying, Ikol hayoledet letish'a ubarani kar lishlish yamea. If you're telling me that any lady who gives birth, a full term at 9 months, her baby is showing at 3 months, so hamid lo hukar lishlish yamea ubara vadai bar shiv'a lebatra'ahu. If she wasn't showing after 3 months from when her husband died, that means it's for sure a 7-month baby from that. Now I'm telling you what's the suffix the other way around. If you're telling me that she has to be showing within 3 months, well, over here she wasn't showing within 3 months, so you know that the second guy is the father. So the Gemara says, Rav Nachman said, no, Ela'ema rov hayoldot letisha ubara nikar lishlish yamea v'ayimid lo hukar lishlish yamea itra le ruba. So Rav Nachman clarifies as the final explanation. It's not a definite thing that 100% she has to show within 3 months, but rov. So rov ladies give birth at 9 months, but rov ladies also are showing after 3 months. So from the fact that she wasn't part of the rov because she wasn't showing after 3 months, that shows that that takes away the rov, that her being in the rov of, we can't use, rov, that this is a 9-month baby and the first guy is the father in this situation. Therefore, we don't have any rov, so we're left with a suffix. It could be a 9-month baby from the first husband, or it could be a 7-month baby from the second husband, and that's why we have this suffix. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. Now, this gets an interesting case. We get a little bit into mamzerut over here. So, let's say, so the halacha is that they're not allowed to stay together, right? The lady, she did yibum to the brother, and then she had a baby 7 months later. Now we have a suffix.
What's the baby?
Who's the father of the baby? If the first husband is really the father, then this yibum is karet. Yeah, this is an isur karet that he's doing. They have to split up. If the second husband is the father, so there's no isur karet.
Yeah.
So but the halacha is that they have to split up because it's a suffix karet. Now let's say they didn't split up and they had another child. Now what's the status of the second child? On the one hand, maybe this. They didn't split up. Yeah, they didn't split up. A year and a half later, she has another child. 2 years later, 3 years later, she has another child, and then all of a sudden they realize, this is that some rabbi comes and tells them, hey, by the way, when did you have this baby? And they look into it and they realize, whoa, this is a safek eshet ach situation over here, right? So, what's the status of the second child? So, Tanu Rabbanan, Rishon Ra'ui Liyot Kohen Gadol. The first child, he could be Kohen Gadol, meaning he's good to go. There's no issue. If the first husband is the father, then he's a kosher child. If the second husband is the father, then also he's a kosher child. So, who cares? Visheni Mamzer Misafek. The second one is a Mamzer through Safek. That's the opinion of Tanakam. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, and this is very important. We paskin like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov in Mamzer Misafek. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says It's not a mamzer misafek. Now, what does he mean? So the Gemara is going to explain. Maika Amar. We have a machlok. What does he mean? What does Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov mean? What is this machlok Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? So Amar Abaye. So Abaye says Ach Kamar. The Tanakama holds, according to Abaye, this is the machloket. Rishon Ra'ui liyot Kohen Gadol, v'sheni Safek Mamzer. The first child, he could be Kohen Gadol, and the second child is a Safek Mamzer, v'asur be-mamzeret. Since it's a Safek Mamzer, maybe he's a Mamzer, maybe he's really Yisrael Kasher. So he can't marry another Mamzer, because maybe he's a Yisrael Kasher, and he can't marry a Yisrael Kasher, because maybe he's a Mamzer, so he's stuck. Safek Mamzer is the worst.
So the mother has two types of child. One of them is good, one of them mamzer.
Yeah, one of them is good, one of them is a Safek Mamzer. According to Abaye, Tanakama holds it's a Safek Mamzer and Asur to marry a Mamzeret. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Eno Safek Mamzer, Ela Vadai Mamzer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says that it's a Vadai Mamzer. So according to Abaye, this is just the important part that we're going to need for the end of the Gemara. According to Abaye, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds that this Safek Mamzer has a status of a Vadai Mamzer. Meaning even though he's not 100% a Mamzer, but we treat him as 100% a Mamzer, and he's even allowed to marry a Mamzeret. Umutar be Mamzeret, and he's allowed to marry a Mamzeret. That's how Abaye learns. Rava says Hachika Amar. Rishon Rawi liyot Kohen Gadol v'sheni Mamzer Vadai. Tanakama will tell you that the first child could be Kohen Gadol. The second child is a Vadai Mamzer, misafek, meaning through Safek we paskin that he's a Vadai Mamzer. Umutar be Mamzer, he's allowed to marry a Mamzer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov omer ein Vadai Mamzer misafek, ela Safek Mamzer, v'asur be Mamzer. Then Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov will tell you he's a Safek Mamzer. So just to clarify, so basically Abaye holds that this, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, this second child, we're treating it like a Vadai Mamzer. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, right, we have a Machloket Tanakam and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The way Abaye learns, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds that this second child is a Vadai Mamzer. That's how we treat the second child, like a Vadai Mamzer. That's Abaye. Rava holds that this second child is treated like a Safek Mamzer. Now, what's the nafkamina? If you hold that it's a Vadai Mamzer, cannot marry it cannot marry a Yisrael, but it can marry a Mamzeret. If you hold it's a Safek Mamzer, it cannot marry Yisrael or a Mamzeret. Right, so again, Abaye holds that according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, this child is a Vadai Mamzer and is mutar to marry a Mamzeret, and Rava holds that according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, this child is Safek Mamzer and is asur to marry a Mamzeret. Okay? V'kamiflagi bid Rabbi Elazar, and they're arguing about the following Mishnah of Rabbi Elazar. Ditnan. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Rabbi Elazar teaches Vada'an bevada'an mutar, Vada'an besvekan, Vesvekan bevada'an, and Svekan besvekan asur. Right, so this we had in Kiddushin. If you're at the end of Kiddushin, last paragraph of Kiddushin, when we did it, we went through this. And Rabbi Elazar holds that a Vadai Mamzer, to marry a Vadai Mamzer, that's allowed. But a Vadai Mamzer to a Safek Mamzer, or a Safek Mamzer to a Vadai Mamzer, or a Safek Mamzer to a Safek Mamzer, asur. Meaning you can only have a Vadai Mamzer with a Vadai Mamzer. You can't have a Safek with a Safek. So that's Rabbi Elazar's opinion. Velu and Sfekan. The following are Safek Mamzer. Shtuki v'asufi v'kuti. Right? These are examples. Shtuki is somebody who, when the child calls out, "Hey, that's my daddy," the mother says, "Shh, Salket Bash." That's so there's obviously something going on here. The kid doesn't know who his father is, and the mother is embarrassed to reveal who his father is. So it's a safek whether he's a mamzer. Yeah, it's a safek whether he's a mamzer or not. Asufi is somebody who was picked up from the market. They left this child in the market, and the assumption is that if they left the child out to be taken, it was probably from some inappropriate relationship, and its child is a safek mamzer. A kuti, Rashi says the kutim, they didn't accept
And you don't know
certain
when you
things.
find a child on the shuk, how do you know it's Jewish or not?
Okay, so we that was the Amud in Kiddushin. It's one of the pages. There's a whole Amud in Kiddushin about that. Okay, so and Kuti, Rashi says Kuti, they didn't accept Torah Sheba'al Peh, therefore they didn't accept Kiddushin with Kesef. So somebody would really be Mikudeshet, they would be Mikadesh Bekesef, and then the Kuti would come and marry that woman also. She's Eshedish, and that would lead to Mamzerim. So those are Safek Mamzers. Okay, so that's Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar holds a Safek Mamzer cannot marry another Safek Mamzer or another Mamzer. V'amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, halachak Rabbi Elazar. That Rabbi Yehuda teaches that halacha is like Rabbi Elazar, that a Safek Mamzer cannot marry a Safek Mamzer. Ki amrita kamei de Shmuel, when he said this was, he said in the name of Rav. When Rabbi Yehuda said this in the name of Shmuel, that halacha is that a Safek Mamzer cannot marry another Safek Mamzer, Amar le, Shmuel said to Amar Li, Shmuel said to me, this is Rav Yehuda talking. He said, when I said this in front of Shmuel said to me that Hillel Shina Asar Yuchsin Alumi Bavel. Hillel taught the following Mishnah, that there were 10 different groupings of people that came from Bavel. Kohanei Levi Yisraeli v'Chalalei Gerei Charei Mamzerei Netinei Shtuki Asufi. So yeah, some of them, which includes Shtuki and Asufi, some Safek Mamzers. V'Kulan Mutarin Lavo Zeh B'Zeh. And each one has a grouping. Shtuki is the one that the mother says shh. So all of them are mutarim to kam zeh b'zeh, meaning there are groupings of them that could marry each other. So it sounds like Shtuki and Asufi could marry each other. So you could have a Safek Mamzer marrying a Safek Mamzer. You're telling me halacha is like Rabbi Elazar? Hillel teaches that a Mamzer, Safek Mamzer, is allowed to marry a Mamzer. So it comes out, according to Rabbi Elazar, Safek Mamzer cannot marry a Safek Mamzer. And that's how Rav paskins also. According to Shmuel, according to Hillel, a Safek Mamzer is allowed to marry another Safek Mamzer or a Vadai Mamzer. And that's Rav agrees with Hillel. Now Abaye that said Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, he holds that this second child is like a Vadai Mamzer. Savar like Shmuel, he holds like Shmuel. Damar halacha ki Hillel, who paskins like Hillel. Umukila Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov alib deilchata, and then he's going to be coming out that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is going to be going according to halacha, because they'll paskin that. I'm going to go over all this in 30 seconds and give a clear explanation, because it's going to come out that it's going according to halacha that is going to be muteret, and mamzer is going to be allowed to marry a safek mamzer, so that all the halachot will line up with each other. And Rava savarla kerav, Rava is going to hold like Rav, damar halachak Rabbi Elazar, that Rav paskins like Rabbi Elazar, not like Hillel. Umukila Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov lib deilchata, and according to him, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov comes out lahalacha ki echid lo tikshi hilchata. In order for the halachot not to be contradicting each other. So, comes out, Abaye taught us that, very, very simple, 30 seconds. Abaye taught us that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds that the second child in this situation is treated as a Vadai Mamzer. Now, why is he learning that way? Because we paskin like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and Abaye goes with Shmuel and Hillel that a Safek Mamzer is allowed to marry a Mamzer. So therefore, he says in this case, we treat the Safek Mamzer, the second child, is like a Vadai Mamzer, and he's allowed to marry a Mamzer. And Rava, who said that it's not a Safek Mamzer, it has the status of a Vadai Mamzer, Rava said it has the status of a Safek Mamzer because he paskins like, not like Shmuel, like Rav and like Rabbi Eliezer, that a Safek Mamzer is not a Vadai Mamzer, but there's a Maflog. Which one? The one that they find in the shuk?
No,
Shatuki? No, it's a Safek. We don't know who the father is. We don't know who the father is. Maybe she's embarrassed that she was with. Maybe she's embarrassed that she was with somebody that's like a low class person or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that she was with a mamzer or with her brother or someone that created mamzer. So. Okay, so either way, each one is going to learn Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov the way it comes out. So we have a machlok comes out. We have a machlok at Abaye and Rava whether a safek mamzer is machlok at Shmuel and Rava and Shmuel, machlok Rabbi Eliezer and Hillel. Also Abaye and Rava whether a mamzer is allowed to marry a safek mamzer.